We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Tyler, if we could have the roll call, please.
Mike Bovat,
Here.
Mike Moffett,
Here.
John Boersma,
Present.
Pat Connolly,
Here.
Tyler McLeod present, Nicole Bennett, Chris Salatis absent, Mike Aurelio,
Here.
Wayne Pondinas, also present Gabe Hernandez and Russell Vogel, Park Maintenance.
Thank you. Item 4, election of officers for the 2022 calendar year for Park Board members. Like to entertain a motion for nomination for president for 2022 year.
I will make a motion to re-elect Mr. Mike Bovat as the president.
I will second that motion.
That's a motion by John Boersma, a second by Pat Connolly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. 4-0.
And I also make another motion to re-elect Mr. Mike Moffett as our vice president.
And I will second that motion.
That is a motion by John Boersma, a second by Pat Connolly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item 5, approval of minutes for Tuesday, December 21st, 2021. If we could have consideration for the approval of the minutes.
I'd like to make a consideration, approve the minutes, make a motion to approve the minutes for Tuesday, December 21st, 2021.
I'll second it.
That's a motion by Pat Connolly, a second by Mike Moffett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Item 6, new business. Mr. Tyler?
So this would be the consideration for the approval of our 2022 landscaping contract. The only really notable change will be we added Founders Park when that becomes ready for the service, similar to our weed control contract last month. Comes out to a little over 2,500 acres per cut, which is $22.90 per acre, which is actually a decrease from last year. And this is with Great Lakes Landscaping.
Okay, I'll make a motion to consider the approval of the 2022 landscaping contract from Great Lakes Landscaping.
I'll second that.
That's a motion by John Boersma, a second by Mike Moffett. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Item B, consider approval of professional services agreement for legal services, Westland and Bennett. Consider the professional services of Ms. Nicole Bennett for the Park Board for 2022.
Which I believe is pro bono this year.
Oh, thank you, Nicole.
It's worth a shot.
I'll make the motion to consider approval of the professional services agreement for legal services, Westland and Bennett.
I'll second the motion.
That's a motion by Mike Moffett, a second by Pat Connolly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. Item 7, old business, A, park rules. Mr. Tyler?
Yeah, so this has been discussed at a few previous meetings where Nicole and I have worked to clean up the current parks chapter in the town code. And what this did was establish some park rules that we previously didn't have before. The one noticeable change from, I think last month or November, I think it was, when we really dove into it, was we updated the park hours to be 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I think we had in there, it was dawn to dusk earlier, which is a little vague and kind of difficult to enforce. So that was the major change that was made in the version you have in front of you now. But again, the idea, I think, was to keep it pretty simple to start. This is a fluid document. If there become additional issues that we notice we have to address, we can always look to make revisions or
Appreciate
additions.
that. Thank you.
I agree with all that. The only problem that I foresee is when the skate park opens up for kids being out to curfew. 'Cause curfew's like 10:30, correct? So we're gonna have to maybe decide upon what we're gonna do with the skate park, or the rules to keep the park open till 10:30. That's the only question I have to that. But other than that, I 100% agree with it.
And that can also be something at the time that's amended.
Right, that's what I'm saying, either now or later, we just have
Once
to
you
might
figure
bring it
that
up.
out for a couple of different reasons, for purposes of the, thanks. If you're extending it just to that park, if it's only when during park, the
Right.
skate park hours, if that's set up seasonally, so all those things are something that can be modified at that time. Obviously, as we discussed previously, this is a recommendation to the council, to then have to be passed, by ordinance. So it would have to be the same process at that point.
Yeah, let's
but-
get it rolling, because if we can cross that bridge when we come to it. I
Exactly.
just wanted to
Yep,
put it
nope,
on
and I
everybody.
think that's a really good point and something to keep in mind. And we definitely, at the point of when that skate park opens, want to foresee that, to have that changed ahead of time.
Did we, I don't think we added it. We mentioned it, that we were gonna have lights out, basically. So the lights will shut off at a certain time.
I mean, we talked about it briefly. I think that I'll talk a little bit more about lighting later on down there. But yeah, I think that was something we kind of decided we would cross that bridge when we came to it.
If I can just add, as Tyler had said, it was on page 11 in section 15-81 was laying out the time change. Additionally, added in here that obviously remaining on a bike path during those hours is also a violation, so, or outside of those hours, I should say. And in 1581B, I just added the exception there that this would not apply to bike paths that are town sidewalks. So that if they're outside of parks, we're not, the rules apply, but the hours won't in that sense. You're gonna then follow curfew. On page 13, section 15-90 is the motor vehicles, which previously we just had as a motor vehicles. I've added this as motor vehicles operation and parking. And specifically, just kind of changed the format of this section, allowing for in section A1, the legal operation of vehicles, obviously on any paved areas that are designed for vehicles. A2 is those items that it does not apply to, obviously town vehicles and/or any ADA equipment. The section that I added was in B after the discussion that we had about the parking. So that this incorporates about leaving a vehicle in a park overnight. As Tyler had brought up before, and as Chief had pointed out, that is obviously something that the police department is dealing with, is cars that are left in some of the parking lots overnight. And there's some discrepancy in the current ordinance about private property, which obviously your park property isn't, and signs being posted. So I think that this, again, is something that covers and allows for enforcement to get those cars out of the parks in the meantime. And as we can either modify this at a later date, or more likely it'll be modification to the parking ordinance that's in the traffic code of the town ordinances. Otherwise, last but not least, on page 16, I incorporated into 15-97 the laying this out together regarding park pavilion rental and the baseball usage, so that this is setting forth a procedure that was in the current code for rental of a pavilion, the fees that would be charged, and then obviously the priority of the baseball fields by town baseball. So this kind of just brought together, I think it was 3 different sections as it is right now in the code, and put them into one for that rental, so that it kind of incorporates each one of those. Again, if down the road there's further discussion about baseball, And I know previously, discussions regarding private teams, things like that, if there were other consideration or how you were going to handle that, then we'd have to modify this. But in the meantime, this follows what the current code or what the current park rules were.
Thank you for that, Ms.
Thanks,
Nicole.
Nicole.
And I'd just like to add that, I know that there's been a lot of work and effort put into this, and I don't think we've had this updated. When I say us, I'm talking about really the town, actually, and forever. So
Yeah.
I think it looks pretty solid to me. We could maybe nitpick and do certain things with it, but I'm definitely ready to move forward. And like you mentioned, Tyler, it's kind of fluid. And Ms. Nicole, we could maybe down the road if we have to.
Absolutely.
You brought up a good point, Patrick, with the 10:30, so I think we're capturing everything, so I feel really good about it.
And I think a lot of it will work out too as the officers are out through the spring and summer and fall, seeing, and we'll talk about obviously getting some signage and things like that, but that would comply with state law. But what then becomes potential concerns or additional concerns that they have or things that need to be tweaked and can address that at that point. Like as I said, it's no different than modifying any other ordinance, so it's a process that the council is doing regularly. So I think that's something that can be definitely, consideration. And if things aren't immediate priority, then we just kind of keep a running list and make the changes, at one point when the timing is more appropriate to incorporate more items.
Thank you.
For the St. John baseball, is that 10 o'clock too? Because they were never done by 10 o'clock.
Well, it's going to be, as it's set out in the park section, I'm sorry, in the hours section, where it sets forth that unless it is in accordance with a valid town-issued permit when attending a permitted function or when participating in a department or town-sanctioned event.
Okay.
So it would work. Because as it is now, you're exactly right, dusk till dawn, if it didn't have that kind of exception language in there, which it didn't, it would be in violation. So that's going to pick up, because obviously, whether it's with permission. So from that standpoint, they're completely able to be there as long as it's part of that sanctioned event and not, after practices or anything else of that nature.
All right, thank you.
All right, so wondering if we could have consideration of the park rules.
What would be the process going forward, Nicole? Would we just send this to the council, or would it be drafted in the ordinance form, or?
Yes, what it would be is a recommendation to the council. Then this would go to them, and I'd put it in an ordinance form so that obviously they could review it and make the election on setting it. At that point, they'd have to advertise for purposes of the first and second reading, and then proceed with passing the ordinance. So it would be on their calendar of what to do. Now, as I mentioned before, though, please keep in mind that in order to pass this, to make it effective, there's significant changes in other sections that need to be corrected. And if you recall, that was something that Chris and I had talked about previously, and he had, given the okay to proceed forward on kind of starting and making those changes. So that is kind of a simultaneous draft that I have that'll be going, with this.
So basically, we could probably table this then until all the other ones get tweaked out?
I'd actually recommend that you make the
Make a motion.
motion and the recommendation, send it on to council,
Okay.
so that they have the time to process this, kind of look at it in conjunction with the other ordinances that are in effect now for those, inconsistencies. And I think it also helps them too for their kind of global view at the changes that need to be made. If they kind of see this first step.
Okay.
All right, with that, consider acceptance of the updated park rules to be sent to the town council.
So moved. That's easy.
I'll second your so moved.
That's a motion by Mike Moffett and a second by Pat Connolly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
7, old business. B, adaptive swings.
There it is.
So this was another item we've discussed previously that we're circling back to, and Jason's going to bring up a few few graphics of some options we have. So what you're looking at now, those are molded bucket seats. We have these currently at Prairie West Park. This was part of the discussion we had to try to make a few of our community parks more inclusive with more inclusive equipment. This would be I guess the most affordable option. If you look at your spreadsheet I included in your packets, it's got the pricing. Jason, if you want to move forward. So that option there is your wheelchair platform swings. There would be 1 bay and 2 bay quotes included. And then if you go, and then that's the We Go swing. That's the higher end option. That's a newer piece in the field. As you can see there, it's near $60,000 with the swing, the port and place surface, and the installation. So that is the high end option. My recommendation out of these three would be to go with the bucket seats, just because they can be added pretty easily to our parks currently within the current play area dimensions of some of our parks. And then they also, of course, serve the purpose of providing some additional inclusive equipment. Some of the concerns I have, or I've seen with the wheelchair platform option, we had one at a park department I've worked at previously. There would just be unsupervised kids. If you want to bring that up, Jason. There would be unsupervised kids that would just pile on it when it wasn't being used properly. And we made a lot of efforts with additional signage. We scheduled hours for it to be rented, where we go out and attach the platform, but that became cumbersome for our staff. The installer, because of the safety issues, kind of considers them a hazard, and he actually requires a hold harmless agreement to be signed with any town that they put them in. So that's something that, with it needing kind of ongoing adult supervision, would be probably better served at a school or like a rehab center type setting, but a public playground where, it is not quite the best venue for that particular option. So.
Well, you knew I was going to say something. Okay, so Jason, if you could go back to the molded buckets. Okay, these are really designed for numerous amounts of ADA children. One that it was designed for was upper handicap kids and autism. So the kids can't fall out of the swings. These are great. I think every park should have these. I'm a big fan of them. I'm also a big fan of the wheelchairs because, as I described before, when you have a family of 5, mom and dad, and 2 teenage kids, and then 1 kid in a wheelchair, he gets to sit in his wheelchair and watch all the other kids swing and have fun while he just sits there. So, and then you're also looking at teenage kids that are in wheelchairs who could just roll themselves right up to that ramp and have fun. Now, I get it, what you're saying about the problems and the issues, but look at our bathrooms. We've had problems and issues with them, too. You can't supervise them. So maybe, is Nicole, this something you could look into? Is there a way, does the ADA have official signage? Like ADA,
I'm sure they do.
and, I mean,
But it's still it's still the enforcement of it is a concern, and if the company requires a hold harmless, then that falls back to the town. So that's just the concern. But yeah, it's absolutely something I can look into and see what, if any, protection is either provided through the ADA or might be worth as well a consideration of what type, riders with insurance or anything of that nature that provides for, specific coverage for this type of equipment. I'm not aware of that. Johnny, are you?
I didn't look that deep into it, but it's certainly to take a look at. But Jason, could you please also go to that the Big Daddy, the We Go swing? Now this one I'm a fan of. It's a significant cost. It really is. But to me, and I've done research too, and that's more of a deterrent for kids to play around on. It looks more official. There you have the opportunity for brothers and sisters, mom and dads with their handicapped children in the wheelchair to actually swing with the kids. So, I mean, I'm a fan of this one. I think, and obviously we couldn't put these in all of our parks because of the cost, but certainly our largest park, that's just my consideration. The other ones with the platforms do give more of an appeal for kids to not consider handicapped kids and just to go on them and jump and swing. This one here has got the bars. It's got, I've seen them where you can have ropes attached to kind of just more of a deterrent, but that's just my opinion.
So one thing I wanted to mention that Gabe and I were discussing earlier, there are newer playgrounds being built that are fully inclusive to serve all ages and abilities. When I say fully inclusive, it means they're accessible with different ramps and rails. They're engaging with colors, sounds, textures, and have pieces that provide different movements. And then they also have a good mix of active and quiet play areas for those that might be overstimulated, in crowds. Prairie West has some of this equipment, but like I said, there are some playgrounds that are fully inclusive that are being built now, where every part of the playground is accessible to all ages and abilities, regardless, of their mobility or any development challenges. So
Swings?
even the swing. So, I make it a point to attend an education session on playgrounds at every conference, and they've come a long way from, teeter-totters and merry-go-rounds. A new playground is in our budget this year for the gates. As we've discussed before, we're really deficient on the southeast side of town. We have other playgrounds as well in our system that need to be replaced. I had a resident reach out to me from Lancer Park that would like to see more inclusive, wanted to see more inclusive equipment at that particular park. I think a larger community-type park would be more appropriate for a project like this if we were to pursue it, like a fully inclusive, large, full-scale, playground. So that's something that, the board might want to consider.
A quick question, Tyler. All these prices are for installing these different mechanisms in the parks, the existing parks, correct? Or is it in a new park as well?
I do believe some of them did say does not include installation. Correct?
Yeah, the platform swings did not include installation. The only one there that did was the WeGo swing. The molded bucket seats, that's something we could handle in-house.
Because the only thing I was wondering is looking at the price and trying to figure things out is the new parks that they're putting a new playgrounds in. Would they cut us a deal to come even cheaper rather than, because it's always cost you more to add stuff into it, like Prairie West Park. You're going to add something into there. Let's just say it's $41.20. Whereas if it's a brand new park, you might get it for $3,500.
That's why I mentioned the brand new option. Usually you retrofit a park, especially with some of what we're looking at here. We need to provide a safety surface or make it fully accessible, some type of a path to, that depending on which park we're looking at, it might not already be there. So that's going to be an additional expense that's not in front of you right now.
What does the budget look like as far as the new park?
I didn't have that in front of me. I think that I know within our current capital budget for this year, we could probably make something like that work. I'd have to look into that if you want me to get you more information and have that get the ball rolling on that pretty soon here.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something that we need to look at because it's on the 5-year plan anyway. But what about as an interim option? Maybe I think these molded bucket seats, because we don't have anything like that presently. Isn't that right?
Yeah, we do have. We have a few molded bucket seats.
Where are they at?
Those are at Prairie West.
Prairie West.
Prairie West?
Yeah.
I take my grandkids there, man.
Shape up, Mike.
I know. If we wanted to maybe add a few more of those, and then, I don't know, what's your thoughts, Johnny? And then maybe for the new park, or,
Okay, we have one park and it goes into the gates. And then you got the whole other part of the town with no swings. I mean, so I understand that this We Go Swing probably be to an exclusive park, one park, a big park, but at least one or two of them swing platforms. I mean, I got handicapped in my family, and I see what my nephew had went through. And so, yeah, I'm a little biased towards it, but it can be very disheartening to a kid in a wheelchair who can't swing. I understand the concerns and everything like that, but there's also concerns with a lot of the playground equipment we have. You can go to the top of the monkey bars and fall, and that's a liability. So it's not a separate liability because of the swing. I think we could work around maybe taking a lot of precautions, signage and stuff, but that's just my opinion. I'd like to see a couple of them swing platforms.
We Go Swing, yeah.
No, not that one.
No? Or just a swing platform?
Yeah, the two-bay, like that one would probably be a good fit to me, in my opinion, in Prairie West or Heartland, and then some of the smaller parks, maybe one on each side of the town. You could have a single platform, but that's just my vision.
If the board would like, I would have to get more information, like I said, that it doesn't include install or any type of a surface needed, depending on which park we would look to install. So
let's take a deeper look into it. Why not?
sure.
Absolutely. All right, thank you for that, Tyler.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Consider tabling this for,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to consider tabling the adaptive swings.
I'll second the motion.
That's a motion by John Boersman, a second by Pat Connolly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
moving to number 8, reports and correspondence from the staff.
Yeah, I forgot to put the skate park under old business again, but the conduit for the future lighting was installed. I included a lighting plan in your packet. And as we discussed previously, the conduit work is the only work that's in the budget for now. I think the idea would be to see how the skate park operates once it does open. Then we could settle into the facility, then figure out how to prioritize lighting and weigh it against other projects that are needed. But I did meet with a representative from Musco just to familiarize them with the site. I met with them last week, so just to keep on their radar.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Also, wanted to mention that another community serve day is scheduled for Saturday, April 23rd in partnership with Suncrest. They helped us out in October of this in the fall, and we think that April is going to be an ideal time of the year for something like this. We can come up with a good list of projects to get some volunteer support.
Did they have the day already in April?
Saturday, April 23rd. Yeah.
What time would that be, Tyler?
This fall we had 9 a.m. to noon, so I'm sure it would be something similar. And then another item we discussed last month would be a community center project. Just want to let the board know that efforts are being made to have a meeting with the council just to discuss see what their appetite for the project is and what options we might have going forward.
Thank you for that. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on to item 8B, board members. I'd just like to make a comment that I really appreciate all the effort that went forth in 2021. I think we had some solid successes and accomplished some good things, and I want to say it was really enjoyable to work with the elected official on the town board, Mr. Wayne Pondinas, in 2021. And as we sit here tonight, just a little taken back that we collectively as a board made a presentation to the town council that we thoroughly enjoyed working with Mr. Pondinas, and we asked for their support, hoping that he would be our liaison again. And some very capricious action by the town board of St. John in not reappointing him. But again, thank you for, and I didn't even know you were going to be here tonight, Wayne. Thank you for just showing up as a citizen, and we appreciate all your effort from 2021. So
I thank you, and I thank the whole board for doing everything that you've done. You've accomplished a lot in 2 years. Too bad we didn't have you guys 10 years ago. We would have had a whole better park system.
well, thank you.
We'll get there.
Thank you.
And like I said, really taken back. I didn't understand that. I'm still a little confused about all of it. And those are my comments. Anybody else?
Good.
Anything else? Did have a question. I know we have the new town liaison, Mr. Mike, and I was just going to say that if you don't mind, did you think that the park board did a decent year last
So,
year?
Mr. President, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to serve with you gentlemen. I look forward to doing that throughout this next year. I think I can add some insight or clarification of why there was some shuffling of the liaison appointments. You probably did not know this last year. I had one. I was on the Economic Development Committee. I believe that Wayne at that point had 3 during 2021?
Yeah, I had 3.
Right, so one was added to Wayne's liaison responsibilities, which would have given him 4. So it was natural to move one away from Wayne to not overburden him. So I went from 1 to 2, and Wayne still has 3.
Wayne's not going to do the MS4. When that was explained to me on the phone, it was like taking a carrot and putting it over here. And I never complained that I had too much. I don't mind doing these meetings. I know I don't get paid for it. I don't mind volunteering my services for the town. But that was kind of I won't say the words, it's just not a bad situation. It's just like me telling you, to lead you to believe you're going to do something and you're going to volunteer. And then the committee was formed, 2 people, which was you and Mr. Blazak, which I was told nothing of that.
Are we
And
speaking on the park board?
we were
Park board.
speaking about.
So I can
Yeah,
only
so here's my thought on this.
get to a tangent. So I'm just speaking in the park board. So
It-
I believe it's just a reshuffling. I'll do my best to fill Wayne's shoes. I will do my best to do that. And
So the shuffling only consisted of one liaison. And why would you take the one who knows these parks better than anybody in this town? That's the thing that is very confusing. So a liaison should be very educated in the board that you're sitting on. You should have some knowledge of it. Mr. Aurelio, do you know 10 parks in our town? Could you name them?
but like I said, this is not a quiz. So
No, it's a question that I expect an answer from.
It's my
That's what I expect when I ask you a direct question. There's no reason why you can't give me an answer.
So, like I said, it's my privilege to serve on the park board. I'm not sure why these questions are being presented like that, like this is some kind
Because
of
we were kicked in the
unusual
teeth.
situation
That's
against
why.
Wayne. He has 3 liaisons. I have 2 presently. I think that's reasonable. Reasonable people can disagree. I just ask, don't assume the worst. Maybe seek some clarity.
Basically what happened, you were on a committee, so you really self-appointed yourself to your position now.
What committee is this, Wayne? We
What
don't
are
know
you
about a
talking
committee.
about?
When we asked the question at the town council meeting, I asked, how did this work out? And I think President Sweat said there was a committee. Now, how do you have a committee formed?
You've lost me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, then maybe you better look at the tape.
Oh, the committee that Mr. Jerry Sweat said that Aurelio and Mr. Blazak were on.
Mr. Aurelio
Oh,
were on.
that's the 2 of them.
Committee?
That's what he said at the last town council meeting, that a committee was formed and the committee consisted of you
I brought it
and
up,
Blazak.
I'm content with coming here
Are we-
every week, or every meeting, and helping these guys out, helping the town. I have no problem with that.
you're free to do what you like, Wayne, no problem. Your help is certainly valuable in many places, so, and I will help out best I can as well.
I was going to ask you a question, like,
Please.
do you think the park board did a decent job last year?
Of course. Yeah, I value everything you guys done. You guys done a great service to the town.
We appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
And
And I would ask you, just maybe give me a chance, right? So this is my first meeting. I think it's reasonable ask. I know you guys have a strong relationship with Wayne. Don't assume the worst. Don't think it's the end, you know.
Well,
Give
no,
me
I
a
don't think
chance.
anybody's
Be
thinking the
reasonable.
worst,
all I'm asking.
or anything, but
Just like anybody else.
but the biggest problem I have was the disregard by the town council when our president pleaded. Out of all the boards, our president spoke to the town council specifically requesting Wayne. So this isn't really directed towards just you, but the town council. It was a slap in the face, is what it was to us. That's how we feel. We all feel the same way.
we're just being honest with you, just letting you know.
So what I say back to that, that's really not a good way to start out with myself and you gentlemen. I mean,
I agree.
think about those words. So a slap in the face, please.
Oh.
So I would say, give me a chance,
it-
like I said.
Disrespect,
it's
however you
not-
want to look at
You
it.
know, we'll work together, give me a chance, please try to be more open-minded, you know, don't assume the worst. The worst has not happened, there's, you know,
Yeah.
please.
It's not really, more an insult to the park board when, you know, and you said you want to work with us. Well, I'm going to give you that opportunity. I'm going to ask you, if you could appeal to the town council and ask them to make a reassignment of the liaisons, and in good faith, just give us another year with Mr. Pondinas. If you would extend that to the town council, that would show us in good faith that, hey, I support these guys. Why don't you go ahead and let Mr. Pondinas be the town liaison? That's all we're asking. And I think you have the opportunity for the town council to take whatever action is necessary to reinstate Mr. Pondinas as a town liaison. We would appreciate
That's a
that.
fair one.
Did you have any other comments?
No, thank you. So, but what I'd add to that is, more than likely, what will happen is, we'll continue this year together. I will do my best. I hope that you guys will be able to accept me as your liaison, and we can work together.
So you don't want to work with us and ask the town council to do that?
Like I said, I'm willing to work with you guys. I'll do my best.
Well, I just
Have an
asked
open
you to
mind,
work
Mike.
with
Have
me,
an open
so-
mind, Mr. President.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm a little confused, and here's your opportunity. From what I was told was a little committee was formed, and I'm going to be frank and honest. Bottom line of the issue is you became a liaison and Wayne isn't anymore when the whole board and our president asked for him to continue to be the liaison.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So I believe that
Hold
decision.
on. Let me finish, please. Please let me
Go ahead,
finish.
please.
So, from my understanding and what I heard from other people is, behind closed doors, basically, you and Brian Blazek appointed you as a liaison for the park board. When our recommendations wanted Wayne, everything wanted. So, again, I'm a little confused. Could you please tell me how all of a sudden you became the liaison?
So Jerry Sweats is the president of the council. Jerry Sweats, as far as I understand, makes those appointments.
And
The idea that I had a meeting with Brian Blazak to pick any liaisons is completely false.
Well, then you might want to go
Totally
back and look at the
completely
YouTube
false.
video of the town council when he specifically said the decision came from the committee, which was you and Blazak.
I do not have any idea what
So
you're
it was
talking
not
about
Jerry
on
that
that.
made the decision.
Like I said, that never happened. That's untrue.
Well, then checked out the YouTube video if it's not true.
I request you do the same. So it's not true.
I have saw it.
well, what happens?
Several
What
times.
happens if we look at the video and it is true?
It
Will you
isn't.
recuse yourself and put Wayne back in your spot?
No.
Like I said,
Yes, it's a yes
I
or
would
no
have
answer.
to be-
It's a yes
excuse
or
me,
no
excuse me.
answer.
So
Will
I
you
would have
recuse
to be
yourself
in a
and
meeting
put
with
Wayne
Brian
back in a
Blazek
spot that
that
the board right
that didn't
here
happen.
wanted to work with? That your president of the town council and our president had a conversation saying that we wanted him as liaison, and that's what I'm saying. I'm confused. Here's your.
I just explained.
Make it
right?
clear
That's
to me
all I
how-
could do is tell you what I know.
Okay.
He's not
Then
here.
watch the
And,
video
you
and
know,
then come
if I
back.
was president of the meeting, I'm telling you, it didn't happen. That didn't happen. It's
Okay.
not true.
Okay. You have your right to be wrong.
Right.
So I was just going to mention also that, and there's a lot of people here today.
And we
The
apologize.
goal of the St. John Park Board is to have good things happen in this community. We've had some tremendous success. None of us are lifelong board members. We've volunteered
And none of
our
us get
time.
paid. We're here for the community. We're not here for ourselves to make stepping stones. We're here for everybody here, trust me. We're here for you guys.
We've had some good things that have transpired. We've made some good improvements in the town, and there's so much more ahead of us. And we went on record to the town council that Mr. Wayne Pondinas is a gentleman that has been elected to the town council, very passionate about the park board, very passionate about the parks, about the community, outstanding individual. And our goal was to work with Mr. Pondinas. And one of the things that I just want to comment on is that we have some major things coming up this year that we will be attending to, addressing. One of them is a community center. And without Mr. Wayne Pondinas being there, it could be a conflict of interest in some regard moving forward. And we just thought it would be in the best interest of the town and for the residents and for the community if we would be able to maintain the rapport and the working relationship that we had, that we felt was necessary, and that didn't happen. So it's unfortunate, and with that, with no other comments, we're going to move forward. Appreciate everybody's comments. Move on to one of the best parts of the meeting, number 9, payment of the bills. Consider payment of the bills in the amount of $14,763.90.
I'll make a motion to the payment of the bills for $14,763.90.
I'll second that.
That's a motion by John Borsman, a second by Mike Moffett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 10, public comment. Any public comments here? Did anybody sign up or anything?
I believe,
Mr. Bill?
Jim, Astrid.
Oh, we had a sign up? I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Somebody signed in for you.
Oh, okay. All right. My
could
name's
you-
Jim Easter. I'm the, sorry.
No, I was going to ask you to state your name, and you were doing it. Thank you.
All right. Jim Easter. I'm president of St. John Malt Brothers. And we would be very interested in sponsoring a beer festival for the town of St. John, hopefully becoming an annual event, and specifically to release our Oktoberfest in late August. We're very early on in the stages of planning, but there are some things that if this is going to happen, we have to get done in advance. One of those is to book entertainment. And I am thinking that we would have an event of at least 1,000 people. So we would need a big venue. I don't know the parks real well, but I know Heartland Park is probably a park that's big enough. I spoke very briefly with John a couple of days ago about this, and kind of just in passing, and the idea was we need to get going on it so that we could make this happen. We would have a top-notch regional band, Echoes of Pompeii, which is a big draw. Every time they do an outdoor show recently, it's minimum of 1,000 people, and sometimes many, many more than that. I have a lot of experience putting on festivals. My wife and I were in charge of the St. John the Evangelist Parish Festival for 7 years, and that ended like 6 or 7 years ago. But we took the festival there from netting $60,000 a year to, well, we doubled it in 5 years' time to $120,000. So we have a lot of experience with that. I have an understanding of things that would need to happen the fencing that would need to take place, the excise police that we would need to contact and get approval. We already have licensing for it with our liquor license as a caterer.
Jim, can I interrupt you for a second? Is this when Wayne was handling that, like last month? Was this the item that got brought up to Wayne, or?
Yeah, I believe, I didn't
Was it
talk
that
to
for
Wayne,
this
but
one?
I believe Ed talked.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were on the right one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last week. So, I talked with, Mr. Welch, and we wanna get a meeting going, and everybody would be involved, so there's no surprises. There's some other people that have the property, and I think we're gonna start working on that. And I think Ed said something about his, he was talking with his kid about it, so it's something that we gotta start planning. And like Jim says, it has to be done, rather quick, so we can make the arrangements, for the people in the band and get all that, set up. And if you did do that, Jim, would there be a rain date?
No, but there would be a tent.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so if it rains, it's,
It would be a rain or shine event. We would have to have a very large tent, which, once again, I know how that goes, arranging for a tent and a stage. And we actually would be talking about two different bands, a band in the afternoon and one in the evening. And, yeah, we would have to rent some stuff. We would have to put some money out there, but,
So I was talking to you before about this.
Yeah.
Did you give it any more ideas about vendors? Are you going to have like vending too, or?
well, not to be selfish, but we would be there with releasing our Oktoberfest, which has actually gotten some notoriety. This last fall when we released it, we had people visit from Michigan, Ohio, Missouri, Florida, Tennessee, and North Carolina. So we've got some regional notoriety for that. And hopefully this is something that we could sponsor year after year after year so that we could add another event to the calendar. I know that a lot of other towns in this area have a lot more stuff going on different weekends throughout the summer. And we, other than the church festivals, we really don't have much.
Just please stay away from August 27th.
August 27th? Okay.
So, Jim, probably worth mentioning, I know the Economic Development Committee is also working on this. So just for you guys know as well, they are currently vetting an event planner. And I
Okay.
believe they're trying to make a decision by the end of this month, which sounds like this is a fit for. So I
Okay.
think they are on board, and I think this, the Parks Board and the Economic Development Committee can work together, forming just this. I think what they're trying to do is plan several events similar to this throughout this year, and yeah, they're on this. So I'm very happy to hear this.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Jim, I was just going to ask you too, like, to plan an event like this, do you have, like, you think kind of the logistics and kind of a summation of what it might be needed to do this? And I was going to ask you, Tyler, like, if maybe you wanted to get, like, is that something that you might want to engage with or participate? Or is there somebody you can maybe appoint or ask to assist? Or, I don't know, even maybe get cooperation
Well,
from?
If I can, Ed, do you want to get up here and talk at all? I'm putting you on the spot because I know me and you talked too about a committee, and we're not talking about a political committee and all this stuff, but I'm talking about like your son and are you guys going to plan on forming a committee? Because I know how to throw events and I know what it takes, so you'll need some people.
Yeah, we'll definitely need a committee on it.
Could you state your name, please, also, and just?
Johnny Boersma. I'm just kidding. My name is Ed Welch.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that some kind of committee would be good with something along that line. Obviously, Griffin would be obviously right with us on that too. But yeah, I think something. I envision this being, and I didn't realize, I should have talked to Dave a little bit, but I didn't realize the Economic Committee did have something to do with that too.
Yep.
And that is good too. But I think that would be, something annual would be really cool. But I think a committee, probably Tyler would probably have to get involved in it
What's
to.
your thoughts on that too, Tyler?
To
then?
get that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of logistics still would have to be determined, but, you guys know how big our staff is.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
If the Parks Department's involved, then yeah, I would definitely, be involved.
I have a question more, not for you, Eddie, but is this a town event or is this a Malt Brothers event? Because it sounds like it's gonna be his beer, his food.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And, I mean,
Back up here, sorry.
because I mean, where's the money going that this goes for? Is it going to you?
It wouldn't be my food. It would be his food and a few other vendors here from town, because to feed 1,000 people, I couldn't do it if I wanted to. So it would have to be, once again, inclusive of a lot of businesses in the town.
So if I can answer his question more directly, I know it would be a Malt Brothers event. It's not going to be a town-sponsored event. So it would, they were tossing up some names to me in passing, and Lollapalooza, St. John Palooza, whatever, but it would be a Malt Brothers, sponsored by Malt Brothers, is what the discussion that we had.
If any of you guys know me, though, anything that we will do here will be donated to some sort of charity or back to the town or something. There's going to be money coming. I don't keep all the money myself, and that's never anything I've ever done. So there will be money coming back to somewhere, somehow. I'm not sure where yet, but there will be donations back to things, so.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. And anything else, Mike?
But I'm just kind of like setting it up. So would you guys be doing all the setup, the fencing and all that? You're not expecting the Parks Department to do that. That's kind of what I'm.
Well,
That's what we got to work through.
we
right?
would if we're going to be, it is in the park, so it would be our responsibility to spearhead some of that stuff.
Who are you gonna pay for?
Not, the,
Mr. President, if I could, this is going to require formal approval in this board.
I would say so, because in here, you need a license from the town, even within this code.
Yep.
right.
Police,
So,
fire.
right.
This board is not going to be able to give a final approval on something like this. It would work in conjunction with the council, but it would have to be something that would be, a global, setup in that sense. And
Sure.
It would all be worked out, especially if it's not a town-sponsored event, then it would be your vendors, your providers doing all these things, not the town's dollars setting up.
No.
But, I think that it needs to kind of go back to that, maybe that planning position of availability and park availability, and then perhaps addressing it at the town level for those appropriate permits to move forward before getting down to the nitty-gritty with what the Parks Department's going to do.
Okay. That
Thanks,
sounds
Nicole.
good. But
Kinda makes more
I would
sense.
Your
say,
vision, guys? For
like from
town-
the-
A bigger event like that, is that your vision, to have a bigger event with the town involved?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have the town involved, and I've already thought about.
I think ours is
We'd have
as
to
well.
give money back to
Yes.
the town, I understand that.
Yeah.
This isn't all about Welch's and Malt Brothers. This
For
is
sure,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, Mr. Jim and Mr. Ed, we appreciate you guys coming in and breaking ground on this, and this is definitely something I think we're very intrigued with. And as far as the park board, I think, be safe to say, that we could definitely look into it, for sure.
You didn't happen to bring any samples of that Oktoberfest with you, Jim, or
No, I have.
just asking, for
Fortunately,
record?
we don't have any left.
There's your real Johnny Bossman.
We will have plenty come late August, though.
Can I take back my name now?
I have had it. It is a very, very, very good beer.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is, do we make a motion to,
It's just a discussion.
Okay.
Right, but
The comment. He's
bring
bringing
it to
it
the
up.
town council, obviously, at the next meeting.
yeah, I just didn't know.
We'll work on it.
I think
Mr.
we need to-
Abilio?
So what I suggest, this may be why I'm worth something on this board, is that, the Economic Development Committee is already working on this. I think we should bring the committees together at some point when it makes sense. They are in process of picking an event planner. I think it's going to be a bigger job than that committee, bringing them both together and making this the best type of event possible.
Can we promise one thing? That politics will not be involved with it?
Why would you mention
Well,
that?
I mean, a lot of
Why would
events
you
in the
even
town
mention that?
have political and that's what we're trying to avoid. So that's all I'm asking, is just, I don't want it to be about nothing else but the fun, that's all.
All right. Any other comments?
Again,
Public
Randy.
comments?
Joan McInerney, 9405 West 90th Lane. First, I'd like to say thank you very much for the work that you have done in the past year. I live in Willow Ridge subdivision. You redid one of the basketball parks, or the basketball courts there. My nephews love it, my brothers love it. They love to come over to my house and play basketball. So it's one more reason to get the nieces and nephews over to my house so I can enjoy watching them play basketball in the court. I'm excited about the prospect of a community center. Huge capital project that the town would be undertaking. And that could be very exciting. I've heard some talk about it at the last couple meetings, and we've gotten into some details of, well, how many people would work and what would be the expenses to the town. And I guess my question is, are we at the point that somebody's putting together sort of a 3 to 5 year look forward on what the revenues could potentially be, what the expenses can be? Are we getting to the point of understanding like the financials for a community center? So I think that would be very helpful to start like hearing some of that information. There's a lot out there on social media of what might the expenses be, what could happen to our taxes, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what the glide path looks like for you guys to start planning at that level, but it would be helpful for people to start, understanding what that might look like.
The reason
from a
why,
revenue-
excuse me, Joan, the reason why we haven't went any further with it was because there's a couple different options. We're not going to stick to just one option. There are the 40 acres that we're still looking at too, over by Heartland. So we haven't, can you
Right, so
speak
like-
on that? Is there any solutions to this
So
yet?
what I would ask, and I appreciate what Joan says, what I would ask, I think we need to have a thorough analysis, cost analysis. So I understand the two options are Suncrest Church and the 40 acres at the moment. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
I don't think that's really
Third?
how it is. I think it's Suncrest. I think the 40 acres is pie in the sky. I think that's tied up in litigation. I mean, yes, would we explore it if the option's there? I don't think the option's there.
So
So,
that said,
to answer your question, there's presently a proposal being sent out to the town president, Mr. Sweats, to get a joint effort by the park board and the town council to see what the options would be available. We would like to move forward. We want to bring this to a head. It's been in the 5-year plan, and how much longer we have in the 5-year plan? Next year? Next year would be the 5th year of that 5-year plan?
Last plan was updated 2019, so.
Yeah, so we're almost at the end of the 5-year plan. So the community needs it, the community wants it, the citizens, and we're trying to advance this project, and we're trying to see.
So I guess what's a little concerning to me is like, we're talking about we're going to present it to the town council, but without having sort of the options of, okay, we're going to use an existing structure, and here's what the financials would look like, right? Here's the kind of programs that we would run, whether it's a existing structure or a greenfield site, right? The programs would be, I would think, we'd have idea what the programs would look like, what revenue streams those would generate, what potential expenses would come with that. At least a pro forma financial statement to say, what would a P&L look like and what would a cash flow look like for it?
So you want us
If
to
it's
go
a
through all of
greenfield
that,
site,
not knowing where it would be?
I think you could, at a very top line
I think it's the
level-
town's council final decision on this, Joan,
But
not
how could
ours.
they make a decision without having that information? I guess is what I'm saying, right?
Please do not come at us like we're not doing our job.
I'm not coming at you. I'm asking you.
That's exactly what you're doing. It's exactly what you're doing, Joan. We are waiting for answers from the town council so we can proceed with what we need to do.
I beg your
That's what
pardon.
we're doing.
I think you're assuming, like, that I think is one of the issues in this town, is that I'm coming here with, like, an assumption of positive intent.
So how could we
I'm
give
asking-
revenue figures if we don't know what property, what structure it's going to be in? How could that even be
I think you could
even
understand
feasible?
what the programs are.
What
right, like,
programs?
what the-
What's our anchorage for the programs?
I think you can make some top-level assumptions and come up with programs. I am not coming at you, I'm just asking you a question. And I think that's the issue, is there's no assumption of positive intent. I don't know why,
You can't come up with numbers when you don't know logistics, sizes, lots,
boy,
all that.
I don't know. I mean, I've had to do it in the business world many a times where you make out your list of assumptions and
Business
you
world,
come up
park
with
board for the parks, it's a little different.
Well, Joan, if I
Yeah,
may,
it is.
if I could just, we're at the ground level with this. There's definitely a lot of support from the park board to move forward, and we hope in a very new future that we can bring that type of information to you. I'm going to have to ask you if there's anything else other than what you said. We have a few others, and then we have to really close the meeting.
Sure. So the only last thing that I would say is that I'm a little surprised at all the, I mean, just like what Mr. Boersma did to me today, like, there's no assumption of positive intent, right? So I behoove you guys to say, you know, so there was a change that was made. And whether it was good or whether you think it's good or bad, I would urge you to just consider, like, how do you look at it a little bit differently, right? Like, how do you continue to work for the betterment of the town? And I know that's where your interests and that's where your guys' heart lie. But think about, how do you work differently? Wayne did a great job, no doubt about it.
Okay, I
Nobody's
appreciate that.
questioning
Ma'am, I understand.
I'd hope that you
I
would.
understand.
I hope that you would
I
give the
understand.
same consideration.
I appreciate it.
Because it's for the
I'm gonna have to
interest
cut you
of
off.
the town.
We got a few more people.
So I look
Thank you so
forward to
much.
getting some financials.
Thank you so much. Anybody else for the public comment? Real quick? Yes.
Hi, my name is Bill Manasopoulos, 10011 Parish Avenue. And I jotted down some things real quick after I took a look at the agenda and saw about your swings. So I'd like to offer a couple suggestions for our next park, possibly all of our parks in the future if possible. One of the struggles that families with disabilities face is fewer places to meet and be part of the community. 53% of kids with disabilities spend less than 2 hours a week with peers outside their classroom. An inclusive playground is different, and I like that you guys even started the conversation, but inclusive playground is different than ADA compliant. It is more than ensuring accessibility with mobile devices. Well-designed inclusive playground welcomes children's families of all abilities to learn, play, and grow. I have personally experienced these challenges myself with a child with autism. He's 11. I know how stressful and challenging a simple trip to the park could be on him and our family. Our main concern was safety since he's a runner. You can't take your eyes off him for a minute, especially when they're in their younger years. I remember when he was in Pee Wee soccer in Cherville, we were treat parents that day, so we were handing out treats, and he grabbed this treat and he just booked. And it only takes 2 seconds. The park's crowded with families and other players, and your stomach just drops out when you can't find your kid. We weren't able to go to the park as much as we liked for fear of him having a meltdown and not having a safe place. A little note is just 15 minutes of swinging can have a calming effect on a child's nervous system and a body for 6 to 8 hours. I'm no expert. I'm only coming from a little bit of experience parenting a child with autism. So there's much to learn, and even my wife and myself, we learn every day. I think a little input from the community would be beneficial. Perhaps we can even speak to the manufacturers of these playground equipment and see if they have any suggestions. I can email you guys some resources. Griffith recently had rebuilt a playground in Centennial Park and incorporated inclusive items in that design. And I know also the Cherville Park Board is in talks about doing that also. Some main characteristics of an inclusive playground include a perimeter containment, a safe, sturdy fence. It keeps children inside the playground. Grouping of activities. And I know Tyler touched on some of these, and I was happy to hear someone else actually doing some research on it. Grouping the noisy activities in one area and the quiet ones in a quiet zone. Creating a quiet zone for a child to regain control when he or she has a meltdown. Providing a wide range of balancing activities with different heights, widths, and motions that allow the children to experiment. Sensory activities including a variety of tactical auditory activities that move like swings or spinning activities. A line of sight, place large structures near the back so that way parents can keep an eye on their children. Parks and playgrounds shouldn't be limited or segregate children. Inclusive playgrounds encourage play, which leads to a mutual understanding, friendship, and a true sense of community. And with everything that's going on in the world, it's something to think about. I know you guys are limited on funds. There's grants out there. I can get you some information on that, and some private groups that also help out with that. And then I just wanted to thank everyone who came out today. Wasn't exactly the comments I was waiting for on when I saw the agenda, but hopefully, everything gets put behind us. Even Joan, I'd like to thank you for coming out. I know you had a really trying week, and I was glad you were able to come out and make your comments. And that's all I have.
Mr. Bill,
Thanks, Bill.
truly appreciate that. That was very insightful.
Thank you. And I'll
Sincerely
email some
appreciate that.
information to you guys, hopefully tonight or in the next couple days.
Sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
Much. Without further ado, motion, anybody else? Comment? Okay. Motion, consider a motion to adjourn?
I will make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
That's a motion by Johnny Borsman, a second. Sorry. That's a motion by Johnny Borsman, a second by Mike Moffett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Adjourn.